Hello everyone. Thank you for coming to my presentation. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Stephanie Lee, and I'm a pre-medical human physiology major with interests in primary care, preventive medicine, and health promotion. I'm also a pretty active triathlete, and throughout college, running in particular has had a pretty positive impact in my life, physically, mentally, and socially. And so for my Keystone project, I really wanted to explore the intersection of these interests by performing a case study on a local community running group called the Forest Hills Runners, who strive to promote physical activity and community well-being in Jamaica Plain, Massachusetts. So some background. Healthy People is a program of nationwide health promotion and disease prevention goals set forth by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services every 10 years. And in the past 2 iterations, it has identified the population-wide engagement in moderate and vigorous physical activity as one of these goals. Many studies have shown that physical activity is essential for physical health and well-being of people of all ages. And furthermore, other studies have shown that engagement in physical activity can have positive effects on psychological health, including an increase in self-esteem. Unfortunately, currently 80% of the U.S. population does not engage in the recommended amount of physical activity, which is not a good thing. So the challenge now lies in engaging that other 80% in that recommended amount of activity. So there are some theories set forth on how to do this. Alfred Bandura has theorized that one way to do so is to enhance what he has identified as the social cognitive determinants of physical activity. He's set forth 4 of them, one being social support, self-efficacy, or a person's belief that they can do something, outcome expectations, and self-regulation. These determinants can all positively influence each other, so targeting one can lead to improvements in all the others. In addition, other research has shown that targeting engagement in physical activity at a community organization level has been very effective, as communities can enhance some of those previous social cognitive determinants. So, the Forest Hills Runners is a local example of a community-based group that promotes physical activity. It was founded in April of 2011 to serve the Jamaica Plain community and some of the other surrounding communities like Roxbury and Dorchester. What makes it somewhat unique from other running groups is that it has a 2-tiered mission statement. Their primary goal is actually to promote community health and well-being, and their secondary goal is to just improve themselves as runners and general athletes. In addition, they strive to embody community running at its best, is kind of what their motto is, or promote running for all, meaning that it's free and open to anyone, regardless of ability or social status. And it requires no official membership. Some more information about the group. They host about 6 workouts per week, 5 on weekdays and 1 on Saturday mornings. Of those runs, 4 of them are what they call social runs, which are basically fun runs that have no specific kind of target workout. And 2 of them are structured speed workouts that are either a short circuit or on a track, but those are all guided. And all 6 of these runs meet outside of the Stony Brook MBTA stop along the Orange Line. And someone is always there to lead it, no matter what the weather, no matter what time of year. And outside of these workouts, the community also tries to foster community by hosting just some general social gatherings, such as an annual holiday party, and then every Saturday morning they meet at JP Licks on Center Street in JP in order to have breakfast and catch up after their Saturday run. And so I found that the Forest Hills Runners, or FHRs, their model of free community running as just like a really interesting approach to engage more of the population in what would be considered like vigorous physical activity or running. And so for my project, I aim to really assess if they've been successful in achieving their 2 goals in their mission statement, and actually more importantly, if that success is extended to all parts of the community population, like if it's truly running for all. I did so by recruiting some current members of the group into taking a short longitudinal series of 3 online questionnaires between August, when I got IRB approval, and through the end of December or January of this year. And those surveys kind of serve to gather qualitative and quantitative information describing those participants' like exercise history, their motivation for joining this group, their own perception of community connection, and just some general demographic information to see like who are these runners. In order to kind of expand on those, on the information I got there, I also conducted 7 in-person interviews with some of those participants, and one of which was actually with the co-founder of the group. And so I'm going to present some of the results. I gathered a lot of results from these surveys, but I'll just give you kind of the main points. From all the demographic information I gathered at baseline, it was very clear that the vast majority of the group represented a very particular subset of the population. They are overwhelmingly white, they are young, they are very well educated, and for the most part, they're very healthy. So the standard kind of healthy BMI is between 18.5 and 25, and you can see their average BMI is very much in the middle of that, with no one being determined to be like obese. I'd also like to note that the range of these ages was between 25 to 39 years old, which the interview respondents said is actually very typical. And also, when you're looking at this income, most of my study participants were single, so their household income is only supporting them. So even though these are kind of similar, this is like the JP census results from 2010, there is kind of a greater income gap that is represented here. Furthermore, I gathered information about their general exercise history, and most of them have been running from between like 1 to 20 years. And most of them also engage in other forms of physical activity, whether it's running on their own or doing other sorts of sports. So they only do actually 1 or 2 of their runs per week with FHR. So in terms of like their general history with FHR, most of them discovered the group via word of mouth, followed by internet searches specifically for running groups in Jamaica Plain or Boston. And also through flyers that the group likes to put up around town every couple months to try to advertise their group. Most of the people actually joined the group, which I found this pretty interesting. Most of them joined in order to just find a new social group and a new community, since a lot of them had just recently moved and they were just kind of like looking to expand their circle. Since a lot of them in the interviews pointed out that if they wanted to just run, they could just do that on their own. But of course, the other biggest motivation was to improve their health and fitness, usually with the motivation of others around them. Because many cited in both the interviews and in some open response questions that the group keeps them motivated and accountable to run each week, even when they just don't really feel like it, like if the weather was like it was this winter. And so in my assessment, I found that the group does some things very well towards their end goals, including making itself very accessible in a bunch of different arenas. It's free, unlike many other running clubs or teams around Boston, which require a paid membership, eliminating any sort of financial barrier. All you really need is a pair of sneakers, since running itself is a very low-cost sport. And then also, since they meet at an MBTA stop, it's very accessible. You don't need a car. You can take the MBTA. And actually, most people just run there, since most people are from Jamaica Plain, or they take their bikes. Additionally, they have a very consistent model. They have the same workouts hosted at the same place every week at the same time. There's someone guaranteed to be there to volunteer to lead the run, whether it's nice and sunny like here, or if it's raining or it's snowing. There's going to be someone there at every workout. And so that consistency really helps because their main form of communication is via Facebook. But this allows people to come and know that there will be something going on, even if they don't have access to like email or Facebook on a consistent basis. Finally, which I didn't really think about when I first heard about this group, they specifically chose to call themselves the Forest Hills Runners as opposed to like the Forest Hills Running Club or running team. because they tried to reduce some of these psychological intimidation barriers that is associated with this idea of running. And some subjects did note that this frame of mind made the club a little bit more friendly and inviting, which is why they chose to join. Furthermore, the club has also developed, the group, has also developed a very strong sense of community for those who are engaged in the group, both kind of internally within FHR and also towards the greater JP community. The group's co-founder, Owen Kendall, has described this community's development as essential to mental health, and this mental health will facilitate physical health. The group has been very successful in doing so far based on the interviews. And this open response quote up here describes the sentiment of many of the FHR members, both in open response and in the interviews. He said, FHR transformed my life. Yes, for running, but more for social and community feeling. I feel like I belong to JP. And this sense of community was especially of interest because it appeared to enhance some of those social cognitive determinants of physical activity that Bandura described, and I described a lot earlier. Some of these are direct quotes from some of the interviews that I conducted. And as you can see, FHR's really friendly and welcoming atmosphere provides a large network of social support and encouragement. And the motivation and the encouragement to build one's self-esteem and therefore self-efficacy. And also, it's like a means to self-regulation. As people come, even if when they don't feel like running, such as just so they can see their friends, and they're held just a little bit more accountable because there's a group involved. However, so FHR has been very successful in some regards, but that's not to say that they've not had their challenges towards their end goals. And the largest one I found throughout these interviews and open responses was this kind of intimidation factor that I saw. This is one psychological barrier that still has not been completely overcome by the group, despite some of their best efforts. Even current members in the interviews, almost all highlighted that they were pretty intimidated about going to their first run. They were really nervous that they wouldn't be able to keep up with this group of runners. However, once there, they discovered that what one subject said was true, and I quote, "I don't care how fast you're running. I care that you're out here and you're being honest about what effort you're supposed to be putting in and that you're having fun." And they really did all find that true. Unfortunately, to get to that first run, to discover that, one needs to possess a certain level of high self-efficacy already. And so that's been a challenge that they're trying to overcome. They have tried to do this by choosing their name very cognizantly, sending out ambassadors to reach out to at least one or two other community groups in JP. And then they've also hosted this series of welcome runs now where they feature a certain run every month where they really try to pull in people and tell them, we'll have different pace groups, you can walk, you can run. They just really want to engage everyone and meet your neighbors. However, they haven't quite gotten there yet. So with those results, when assessing if FHR has met their goals of community health and well-being and fitness development, I've concluded that they've done very, very well for that small subset that has already chosen to join the group. But they haven't quite reached that for all aspect yet, despite their best efforts. I've sent them some recommendations, mostly for them to continue to do what they're doing right now, distribute flyers, do these welcome runs, which they're now doing monthly. Before they'd just done one or two. They've kind of reinstated a lot of this during the course of my study. And I've just been telling them to kind of expand their breadth and just continue it, because I think time certainly plays a very large role in seeing the effects of inclusion in all of this. Also, I think they should continue to extend ambassadors to other community groups. Some of them have just kind of fizzled out, but I think they should really reach out to some more established groups like neighborhood associations. And finally, I think one great thing that they could do is vary their run routes. So right now they mostly run around the Arboretum and Jamaica Pond because it's beautiful. But if they run through other neighborhoods, it'll kind of increase their visibility, as they themselves are probably their best advertisement to spark that interest. So, because I'm almost out of time, in conclusion, the Forest Hills Runners have only been really in existence for 4 years, but in that time, they've already made a really lasting positive impact on a lot of JP residents. And so the breadth of that impact is only predicted to grow, in my opinion. And I think that the potential for this free community running model to spread to other neighborhoods is really high, both in the Boston area and nationwide. But thank you.